This year is coming to an end, and I am sure many of us have learned a few lessons in 2020 about life, about health, friendships, travel, about taking things for granted, and about ourselves. What I want to share with you are the lessons I learned in 2020 about business. Hello friends, and welcome to the Savvy Corner for the last time this year. My name is Alisa, and on this channel I talk about managing your money, your business, and your mind around it. As a financial and business coach, I have shared many tips and strategies with you in the last 12 months, and it seems appropriate to wrap up the year by talking about what 2020 has taught me about business. Grab a drink and let's dive in. 2020 showed me the importance of agility in business. When the pandemic hit, many companies and businesses have had to quickly adapt to the circumstances and change their ways of working almost overnight. Given that most of my work was delivered online already anyway, I did not see such a huge impact myself. However, some of the organizations I collaborate with took a hit as a result. I have witnessed their inability to make changes quickly for various reasons, bureaucracy and red tape being one of the big ones, as well as ways of working that were old school and outdated. As a consequence, their revenue suffered, and so did the employees who had to be furloughed or made redundant because of it. And of course, so did their collaborators, myself included. Of course, it's easier for a small business to be agile because they don't have to take into account so many elements compared to a big business. However, what I find is that having an agile mindset also matters. If the people working inside a business, especially those at the top, don't believe in change and are not ready to let go of their traditional ways of doing things as a company, that will impact the pace of the change. The pandemic has forced us into agility though, and I truly hope that we will carry the ability to adapt in the future. If you've been following me for a while, you know that in 2020 my business also took a turn in a slightly different direction, moving from personal finance coaching to financial coaching in a business context and business consulting and mentoring. This was a move I was planning to do anyway, but I didn't think it would happen this year. Nevertheless, it did, but not without some serious inner work. Which takes me to the second lesson I want to share with you. It's okay for your goals to change. You see, I am a rigorous planner, and when I started my business, I set myself a series of 5-year goals. In order to change direction in my business, I had to let go of some of these goals at the 3-year mark, which was very difficult for me to accept and then to actually do it. Because the idea of leaving a project unfinished or abandon a goal before the deadline is something that I find incredibly hard to do. It makes me feel like a quitter. I did a lot of reflection on this, and this is what I learned. When I set my 5-year goal for my business, my circumstances were different, and therefore so were my aspirations and expectations from my business. If I were to start all over again today, I wouldn't want to reach the same goals in the next 5 years. I have a different vision for my business and certain expectations from it. Therefore, what would be the point of working towards some goals that I no longer desire? As I was reflecting on this, I realized I was giving myself a dose of my own medicine. I tell my clients all the time not to borrow KPIs and goals from other people and to write their own definition of success. Yet here I was chasing goals that the old me wanted without taking into account my current wishes and aspirations. Long story short, once my mind was in the right place, things started to come together nicely. I'm still in the process of pivoting and many things need to be addressed, but I am happy that I prioritize the mental aspect of this change. Now, I'm not advocating that you change your goals all the time, but sometimes long-term goals become redundant, and it's okay and advisable to change them if that is the case. The third lesson I learned was closely related to the previous one. Because I now have a different vision for my business and some of my goals changed, I had to learn to say no to things that didn't take me closer to reaching these new goals. And that included saying no to paid opportunities, which felt very scary and sometimes ungrateful. I'm not going to dwell on this subject too much because I recently filmed a video on this topic where I share how I evaluate opportunities, why sometimes you have to refuse some of them, and how to do so politely and elegantly. I will link it for you on the screen here and in the description box below. Before we move on, if you're getting value from the video so far, I would appreciate it if you gave it a big like and consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you in advance for your support. I really appreciate it. The next business lesson is something I knew for a long time, but it was in 2020 that I experienced it the most. Business is done with people. It's funny how the pandemic has separated us physically, yet this year I felt the presence of other people in my life and in my business the most. A lot of opportunities came my way this year through my connections and my relationships with other professionals. The only other time when I experienced this so prominently was at the very beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, when most of my business would come through the people that I knew because I didn't have any online presence, any social proof, and any experience as a coach. I spent more time this year nurturing relationships and forming new ones, and I'm really excited to get to know some of these newly formed connections in person at some point in the future. It really does pay, literally, to invest time and energy in people. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my clients, my collaborators, my colleagues, and my audience for their support this year. And that includes you too. Thank you for watching my videos and for coming back every week. It means a lot. Another lesson I learned was around productivity and time management. I discovered how important it is to have a routine and to incorporate work habits into my day. This was something that I used to do before as well, but at a lower scale. However, a few months into the pandemic, I realized that the days and weeks became a blur, and I wasn't accomplishing much as they passed. The pivot in my business required a lot of work and preparation, so I couldn't afford to be inefficient. Therefore, I had to reconsider my work plan and routine. If you're interested in what that looks like for me now, I have a video where I share productivity tips for coaches and the system that I use to make me more efficient. I will link it for you here and in the description box below. There are other things that I learned in 2020, but these are the lessons that have had the biggest impact. I'm curious to know what you learned this year, so please let me know in the comments. And while you do that, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone all the best for the new year. I'd like to look at it as a new chapter that we get to write in the book of our lives. I truly believe we are the authors of our own stories, so make sure you are intentional about this new chapter and make the most of it. It was a real pleasure to share my knowledge with you in 2020, and I'm looking forward to continue to do so in the future. If you have any requests for videos you'd like me to film, please get in touch and let me know. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alisa, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!